All right, guys, I learned something today about this camera, the Canon R8. So I did this video yesterday where my camera overheated super fast, like 2 minutes in 4K 60. And I wanted to test and see if I could get more time by switching over to 4K 30, but the camera was so hot, it said, that it wouldn't even let me turn it on long enough to switch over to 4K 30. So I was like, well, this sucks. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to use this outside in the summer here in Texas. It was 106 degrees, I showed that. And so I uploaded that video, and somebody said they used the camera all day in Phoenix, and it was 108 degrees, and they didn't have this problem. So to be honest, at first my thoughts were, well, you know, that's good for you. Are you using the same frame rates? You know, I'm going through this checklist of what could have been different, right? But then I thought, well, you know what? I'm gonna test this. So this morning, what actually inspired this was this morning I was shooting a video in 4K 30, and it was like 91 degrees, which is a lot cooler, well within the operating temperatures. It's, you know, it's still hot, I know, but this is Texas. That's how the mornings feel in Texas. But it was a lot, well below the operating temperature, right? So, and after about 6.5 minutes of recording, it was about ready to shut off on me. So I thought, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do a simulation test. I'm gonna leave. I wanna know how reliable this would be if you were just using it as a travel camera. We all say this is, right? So if you were walking around Disney World, or like, you know, Florida, or even Disneyland in California, you know, with your camera all day, and then you pick it up and you just, you know, take shots here and there. So I left the camera outside, just right here on this table, which not in the sun, but in the 90, now it's 93 degrees out, okay? Let it acclimate. I was thinking as soon as I hit record, it was gonna yell at me and burn up, you know, like overheat it just instantly, just like it did yesterday. As it turns out, it was just the opposite, okay? It ran for 10 minutes without showing a single overheat warning bar, not one. So instead, even though the temperature is physically warmer and had full time to acclimate to the outdoor ambient temperatures, which is again 93 degrees, which had just caused it to almost overheat, you know, 2 hours ago. Well, I guess it was probably an hour ago. After sitting for 30 minutes in the outside temperatures, it ran for 10 minutes, and I just got bored. I wasn't going to record, you know, 30 minutes of, you know, I wasn't going to waste cell phone time. This camera's a cell phone, just to prove that, just to see how long it would go, because it was fine. So what's going on here? The camera, this is weird. They programmed this to need to like acclimate like a person. I don't understand that. Like, it's fine if it's used to it. I guess the idea was it's measuring the change of temperature. So if the temperature jumps up real quick from going inside to an air conditioner room to outside, the processor interprets it as on its way to overheating, and then it shuts down the camera sooner. But if you leave it outside and then turn it on, it's fine, because it's not really overheating. It's 93 degrees. Like, and that fits. Even yesterday when it overheated, there was no heat. It was not warm. Like it was just, I think it's measuring the change in temps, not the actual temperatures inside the camera. And while I understand how that functionality would be useful if it was correct, like if all of a sudden you had a short or something in the camera, you would want it to do that. It's bad programming, in my opinion, if it can't tell the difference between going inside to outside without freaking out. But then it can stay outside and record for 10 minutes without even registering one single overheat bar, you know, which is nothing. It's fine. But this also explains why somebody in Phoenix who's walking around with the camera all day can never see an overheat problem, because again, the camera is like a person or a puppy, and this needs to get used to it, you know? It needs to get used to the outside. That is such a weird, I wish Canon would just make this easier on everybody and just make the overheating normal. Like, if it overheats, turn off the camera. As it cools down, let it work. Just like, seems like all the other brands do. But Canon always has to like overthink this, and this is where we are. But yeah, it looks like, I guess the upside is this makes the camera a lot more functional for me. I mean, I just, you know, a lot of what I shoot is outside. So if the camera stays outside and then come back into my house, it should last a lot longer. Yeah, acclimate, y'all. It's so weird. Anyways, hope you guys found this useful. Other than this, this is a weird quirk in the programming that they could fix, obviously. Other than this, it's a great camera. The batteries are too small, but you know, they're cheap too. So I can live with that for what I want to use this for. But this overheating thing, I guess at the end of the day, like, this means this camera is more functional in the heat if you acclimate it. We'll get it a cold compress. No, it's actually just the opposite. Like, you got to let it sit outside and get used to the temps. Canon.